Welcome everybody to another video. I'm Brandon Schaefer's. Pleasure to be here with you today. And Leonardo da Vinci once was quoted as saying something to this effect, that an artist's studio should be a small space because small rooms discipline the mind and large rooms distract the mind. So I kind of agree with that. In my experience, for the most part, is that I've had small studio spaces. As you can see right behind me here is my small studio corner of my apartment. It's probably about, I don't know, 4 by 6 or something like that. I have a little bit of room to move around, and also I can back up if I need to look at the painting from far away. So depending on what kind of setup you have, it could be beneficial to have a smaller space or a larger space, because I like to look far away at my paintings and view them, see how people are going to see them from far away and approach them. So that can also be beneficial. Now, if you're in a small room, it might not be possible to do that. You might have to take your painting into a larger room to view it. So I kind of agree with having a smaller space. I've always had a smaller space. My last studio space that I had in Delaware was a room that was probably 10 by 10 or a little smaller than that, 10 by 7. But it got the job done. All my materials were in there. It's really all about organization and getting a feel for the room and how you're going to set up and things of that nature. But more importantly, I'd like to hear from you guys, and what kind of studio space do you use, do you think is necessary, and a larger space, a smaller space, do you have a studio space at all? Currently I'm not really doing much studio work. I'm working on doing plein air paintings. That's my main goal for this year, and maybe, I don't know, we'll see. But for this year, mostly I'm working on doing plein air paintings, and maybe doing some touch up after, back in the studio a little bit. But for the most part, I'm just doing straight plein air. But I want to hear from you guys. What kind of studio setup do you use? What is beneficial to use? What is necessary? Do you feel that you need a large space? Do you feel you do better work in a large space? Or do you think you could do paintings in smaller spaces? It's really an important question, I think, especially when going to set up a studio, because some people only have like a corner of their house and they really have to think about what materials are necessary to have out at all times. How can I easily pack things up and unpack, make it easy to unpack, because most of the battle for painting is that you have to prepare your materials. It's kind of like going to the gym. Most of the time, people don't really want to go to the gym because they have to drive there. But once they get there, they're glad they went to the gym, So it's just getting past that first step and unpacking it, preparing your materials, and then actually painting. Because painting is the joyful part for me anyway. The preparing the materials, squeezing out the paint, getting the water, all that's kind of can be annoying at times. So sometimes that kind of turns me off from painting because I'm lazy, and that's part of it, is you don't want to be lazy. So I'm just looking at 10 famous artist studios, and a lot of them have a lot of space. Mostly because a lot of famous artists do large works. So I guess it also depends on what kind of work you're going to be doing, and where you're doing it. Picasso's whole studio, it's giant ceilings, huge rooms. He has paintings all over the place. So is that really necessary? It may not be necessary, but maybe if you're doing larger work, maybe it does require more room. I like to paint a lot smaller, mainly because I have to for the most part, but I also enjoy just doing small, quick works that I feel have a lot of energy in them, and that's what I like about painting. It's having that feeling of life and energy into the artwork. saw one other one here. If I can get to it, give me 1 second. Jackson Pollock. He has a big studio, but he also did large works as well, and he has a ton of different paints and things like that. And also David Hockney. His is really clean. The whole floor is wide open, and then his art is up against the wall, and he has a little table and a small easel. So is it really necessary to have such a big room? In this photo here, he's actually across the room looking at his work on the wall. So that's what I'm saying about you kind of do need a big space to look at your painting from far away, depending on how large it is. But if you're painting something big enough to just carry in your hands, you can just move it to another room or go outside, set it up against a tree, and walk back. That's a good way to judge it. But I just kind of wanted to make a video here real quick talking about studio spaces and wondering what you guys are doing out there, and I'd love to hear from you. And I just wanted to start a discussion on studio spaces. What is necessary? What do you require? You know, just trying to get different ideas for, because I don't think, you know, every studio space is different. Every artist is going to have a different studio space, things that they use and require. So I just wanted to open a little discussion about that, and I appreciate if you comment down below, let me know. And be sure to check out the links in the description. I'd appreciate it. Like me on Facebook, I'm on Twitter. Check out my website. You can check out my available works on Etsy. And anyway, subscribe to these videos and give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Anyway, take care of yourself. Peace.